Really wonderful to be here today. A special shout out to the Get Smarter Creative Studios team who are here in simulcast and who helped us with our presentation today. So, hi, my name is Sam, and I am co-founder and CEO at GetSmarter.
And my name is Rob Paddock. I'm the co-founder and chief of strategic partnerships at GetSmarter.
We are brothers as well. In fact, this photo was taken at Cecilia Forest some time ago. And we have been, you can therefore say that we have been partners by design for as long as Rob has existed. Yes, I am the older brother on the left-hand side. Our presentation today is going to run you through an event that occurred in 2017, which we are particularly proud of.
And then we're going to give you an overarching introduction to the business that is GetSmarter.
We're going to talk about a time in 2013 when we almost fell over as an organization and the two pillars that Rob and I built.
I'm going to talk you through our approach to better education and how we realized that by partnering with our students for their success, we could fundamentally change the trajectory of distance learning.
And once we had understood how to partner with our students for success, we needed to understand how to partner with a broader set of incredible executive team members and now a broader set of 350 people to partner for that success. And then we're going to end. So this is a photo from last year of the executive team at GetSmarter on the NASDAQ closing bell ceremony, celebrating the acquisition of our business by the EdTech giant 2U for $103 million, or 1.4 billion rand. It was a totally surreal moment in time for us, these South Africans who hail from the tip of Africa, who had managed as a collective to both play and win on a global stage.
So we realized that some of you might know the business that is GetSmarter and some of you may not. So we want to give you the briefest possible description of the business today.
So GetSmarter at its core, we are an EdTech company based in Cape Town, South Africa. We work with the world's leading universities to offer a portfolio of short courses to working professionals in 140 plus countries around the world. We were founded in 2008.
We have 350 staff members located across 3 continents.
We have a portfolio of 80 online short courses with these university partners.
And we currently partner with over 10 of the world's leading institutions. Institutions like the University of Oxford, Cambridge University, MIT, Harvard, the University of Cape Town, and more.
These university partnerships exist across 3 continents.
And to date, we've educated over 50,000 students.
The average age of our student is 38 years old, the upwardly mobile, career-advancing working professional. That's who we serve.
And a number that we're particularly proud of is that, as of this moment, we are servicing students from 140 countries around the world. That's
a Cape Town base of humans, human capital, servicing people from 140 countries around the world, something which Cape Town, I think, can be very proud of. And this has led us to 91% completion rates in our portfolio of short courses. And Rob's going to talk about this a little later, but it's something that stands out in stark contrast to the low single-digit completion rates that you can expect for distance learning, and to the core of the question of what it means to partner with one's students.
And many of you may have heard of a BHAG before. This is our big, hairy, audacious goal. And our big, hairy, audacious goal is to educate and improve 1 million lives by 2030. And as we're currently tracking, we expect that we can achieve that much sooner.
Okay, so the 2 pillars of GetSmarter that we want to focus this presentation on today.
I'm going to be speaking again about better education.
And I'm going to be talking about our 1-page strategic plan and how that galvanized GetSmarter.
But before I talk about better education and how we partner with our students for success, I want to talk about an event that took place with a friend of mine back in 2012. It was a friend and a colleague, in fact, a gentleman named Vaughan. And Vaughan, like so many millions of other working professionals, realized that he needed to extend his skills. He's a working professional, he's got a full-time job, but he needed to extend his skills if he wanted to give himself a better chance of competing in an increasingly competitive commercial landscape. So Vaughan, again, like so many millions of other students, took to distance learning, signed up with an institution, got his pack delivered. Some of you who have studied distance learning might resonate with this. You get in the post, you get your textbooks, you get online access to a forum and and a space where you can contribute your assignments and so on. And at first, he's really excited. This is his opportunity. He's dedicated himself to doing this course of studies and ultimately wants to achieve and wants to graduate on this program. As Vaughan progresses over the weeks, a fairly common thing happens. He comes up against some of the intellectual insecurity that inevitably takes place when we're undertaking a rigorous course of study. Learning is hard, learning is challenging, and when he needs support, he looks to his online forums and he finds that he struggles to get the support that he needs. Unfortunately, because this is a distance learning course, he also doesn't have the opportunity to engage and relate with his peers and sit around and get some support from his fellow students. So as the weeks progress, Vaughan is starting to get seriously stressed, guys. He's got an assessment coming up. This is a major assessment that counts towards his final marks. He's now seriously starting to stress. So what does Vaughan do? He goes out and he has a flippin' blinder party. He forgets about everything for a night. He dances the night away. He has a great time. But unfortunately, the next day, his study woes are still very much present. Not only are they present, but now he has a splitting headache. So I'm seriously worried about my friend at this stage. So I did what I thought was an absolutely foolproof solution to the situation, and I took him to see our puppy Ninja. I mean, I'm sorry, is that not the cutest dog that you've ever seen in your entire life? That is little Ninja at just over 8 weeks old. And even that sight and playing with Ninja didn't overcome his study woes. And Vaughan made the rather tragic decision, like so many other distance learning students, to drop out of his program. Why is it that the promise of distance education is so tragically unrealized? How many thousands, if not millions, of working professionals are engaging in distance learning programs every single year, and only a fraction of them are completing? This is a stat from UNISA, the University of South Africa. 300,000 students will register with UNISA this year. Only 9% of those students will graduate. This is an astonishing number, and I'm not picking on UNISA specifically, but I am being very clear that we have a problem as it relates to distance education. And this is one of the things that GetSmarter's sought to solve. So when we started looking at distance education and what was working, we found a very interesting example over in the UK with the Open University. We found that in a one-year postgraduate program with a 22% completion rate, the researchers changed one variable, and that was to make a phone call right at the beginning of the program. That one phone call, as the single variable that changed, increased the completion rate by 4.3%. 4.3% from one phone call, from an administrator connecting with the students to welcome them onto the program, to orientate them as to what the next couple of weeks would hold, increased the completion rate by 4.3%. They then, in the following year, decided to add ongoing phone and email contact. And ladies and gentlemen, that increased the completion rate by 40% more. A totally astonishing number. And this really led us to the concept of a high-touch approach to online education. In 2013, we fundamentally reimagined the work that we were doing with our students, and we realized the value of partnering with our students for the success. The fact that technology allows you to augment the role of people in the learning process and not replace them, it was one of the key insights. By putting people back at the center of learning in the digital context, we were able to drive completion rates right forward. So to give you a very quick overview of what that looks like, our students, even if they're in very large student cohorts, 1,000+ students sometimes, are immediately placed into small tutorial groups. Those tutorial groups are somewhere between about 6 and 14 students, and they are supported extensively by tutors throughout that process. These tutors are subject matter experts who are guiding their project work, marking their assignments, giving them rich feedback as they progress throughout their studies. The second critical stakeholder there is what we refer to as a student success manager. Now, these are not subject matter experts, but they could effectively be considered the equivalent of a private banker for education. They're your one-stop shop. They are deeply invested in your learning. They are actively tracking and monitoring your learning as you progress and proactively intervening to keep you on track. And this is the number that Sam mentioned earlier, has resulted in a 91% completion rate. And again, these are open enrollment programs that require no previous course of study in order to engage. And we hope that that provides some inspiration as to what distance learning can achieve when we partner with our students for success.
So what Rob has spoken about is partnership through design at the student level. What I want to talk about is partnership by design at the employee and the executive level. Now, what I mean by that is trying to find a way that we can take 1 + 1 and not turn it into 2 or 3, but turn it into 11. What does that look like? What does that feel like? But before I do that, I want to go back into some slightly dry theory. So what is business? What is GetSmarter? What is government? What is the design agency you're working at? What is your family? What is this church group? Well, at the core of it, it's people doing things. And so one of the lenses you can take to business is that the challenge of business is to find a way to have the right people doing the right things right. So to take commonly used nomenclature to that, the right people would be described as your culture, the values, what you value, the behaviors that ensue from what you value, and the way things get done. That's your culture. And the right things can be described as your strategy. You simply can't do everything. You can't. You have to be thoughtful. Strategy is the child of scarcity. We live in a scarce world. We have to be deliberate about the things we choose to do and we choose not to do. And finally, once we know who we should be, the right people, and we know what we should be doing, our strategy, the last question is, how do we do that? We need to execute. We need to do those things right. And what we found in the one-page strategic plan, which I'm about to share with you now, is that it gave us common vocabulary. It gave us a format that allowed us to think together in partnership, not just as me and Rob, but as a broader executive team and as a broader organization, to take this business that back in 2013 was at 70 people in size and almost falling over, and turn it into something which could become a future powerhouse in the Cape Town environment and show the world that Cape Town is capable of not only playing on a stage, but also winning. So that's the big why as to why this plan was so important to us. And up until 2013, strategy and planning and who we were lived in the corridors between Rob and me. We'd walk past each other and think, that's a great idea. What do you think? It's a great idea, but I'm busy, so we should just, yes, that's a great idea. And you go and you execute. And we made many mistakes as a result of that. It's just because Rob wasn't smart enough, which is not true.
See the humility of this guy, handsome, smart.
So you should get smarter. So what we did was we found ourselves in a position with a very successful businessman in the States who heard our story over 2 days and said to us, look, guys, I know exactly where you are. I want you to read this book titled Mastering the Rockefeller Habits, and I think you should do 90% of what's in it. You decide what you don't want to take, but do 90% of what's in it. And that's exactly what we did. We went away, and at the beginning of 2014, we launched the Rockefeller Habits. The central piece towards this is something called the one-page strategic plan. And the format is very simple. You define this plan by answering a series of questions. You start off with, who are we? Simple statement of who's on the bus. At GetSmarter, we became clear that we are people who honor learning. We pay attention to the right detail. We are rude to poor process. We're honest and straightforward. Relationships matter very much to us, coming from a family business. We are heroic supporters of our customers, and our galvanizing value is that we play to win. We had a statement of who we were in a way which we could hold ourselves accountable to and hire for. Once we knew who we were, we had to ask ourselves the question of why we exist. And people, this touches on the issue of purpose, and is often answered by spiritual practices. But in an organization, there's so many different purposes that you bring to the business every day. I'm here because I live close. I'm here because I need to put food on the table. But what's our galvanizing, uniting value that makes us feel like we are serving a higher purpose? And for GetSmarter, our purpose is to improve people's lives through better education. And once we knew who we were and why we were doing what we were doing together, we asked ourselves a crucial strategic question. Where do we play? And this is answered by simply three categories: product, geography, and customer. We operate short courses as our product. Our customer is the upwardly mobile working professional. And our geography is wherever our university partners have recognition value, which happens today to be in 140 countries around the world. So once we knew who we were, why we exist, and where we chose to play, and those are deep searching questions that take a lot of time to define and actually evolved for GetSmarter over 3 or 4 years. We started off in a very different place to where we are today. But that's the power of collective partnered thinking, is you can do the thinking together. It doesn't rest inside one executive's head in an ivory tower locked away from the rest of the business that allows you to feel like you are part of that business. The next question we ask ourselves with all that in mind is, how do we win? At GetSmarter, we define how we win as helping our students feel like they stand out from the crowd. We are helping people through our short courses build competence, confidence, and recognition. And that helps them feel like they stand out from the crowd by differentiating themselves in a crowded marketplace and advancing their careers. It's a meaningful purpose. And once we have all that strategic nomenclature in place, we ask ourselves very practical planning questions. And this is why it's called the strategic plan. It deals with both elements. And then we ask ourselves some accountable questions. What do we need to do this year? And you define the key things you do. You fight about it. You jostle about it because you can't do everything. You need to decide what you need to do this year to help you win, where you play, with reference to your purpose and who you are. And once you define this for the entire organization, you cascade this out across the 350 people at GetSmarter so that each one of them have 90-day priorities, with a simple question of what 3 to 5 things in the next 90 days will help this business achieve its one-year priorities in reference to how we win, where we play, why we exist, and who we are. And that's the essence of what it meant to be partnered, and partnered through design, deliberate design, in this journey that was GetSmarter. Now, what I love most about this plan is that I feel, and this format, is that I feel it can apply to any aggregation of humans. We were begging for it. We were desperate for it in 2013. But I love that this can apply to a religious institution, to a family, to a sports team, to any aggregation of humans. And so I got really excited at one point, and I took it home because, well, it had worked so well at GetSmarter. And I went back to my wife, Kerry, and she's here, so I need to just be careful what I say. But I went back to my wife, Kerry, and I said, baby, you should see what's happening at GetSmarter. It's like we're standing on the shoulders of giants. It's like we're a new, it's so amazing. We should do this at home. And I got this kind of like, what? Bringing your work shit home? Like, what is that? What is that? And so eventually we got to the point where we drew hearts on the plan and we described it in very soft terms. But it has become especially relevant to us in the last year because Kerry gave birth to twins 11 months ago. And they are sweet, very sweet. But we have some searching questions we need to ask ourselves as a family. Who are we? What are our values? Why do we exist? Where do we choose to play? Who do we choose to be with? What professions are we in? Why? Can we win in those professions? What are our one-year plans? And I haven't quite got Kerry to this, but I certainly have personal 90-day priorities. I think I've got a little bit more work to do in terms of asking her to do that. Now, is it fixed and fastidious? It might be, but it gives us the chance to partner together in a way that doesn't just exist in a set of assumptions that exist between people, and it allows you to be very deliberate about one's life. It has been the most incredible way for GetSmarter, and more recently my personal family, to partner through design. So Rob spoke to you about how we partner through design with our students, and how that has led to exceptional completion rates in a sea of abysmal single-digit completion rates.
And Sam's given you an overview of how we quite literally get on the same page with the rest of our team members by using a design tool like the one-page strategic plan.
It's been a privilege to be here with you today. We wish you well at this conference, and thank you.
Thank you so much.